Whether you like it or not, Magic is an esport. This past weekend, we saw the first Mythic Invitational for MTG Arena at PAX, with $1 million in prize money given out, some incredible matches, incredible personalities, and perhaps most importantly, 126,000 peak viewers on stream. That is nearly triple the amount of peak viewers Magic had before this weekend. We can learn 3 important things from that number. 1 is that MTG Arena has completely changed the game for Magic. 2, there were people watching this weekend who have never played or watched competitive Magic in their life. And 3, Magic is 100% an esport.
Congratulations, Andrea! You are the winner of $250,000 and the Mythic Invitational.
And I know what you're thinking. Why wasn't it an esport before? Well, there's a couple reasons for that. For one, there was never an accessible video game version of Magic. That's sort of the E in esports. And I can already hear the commenters starting to type furiously about how MTG Online existed, but MTG Online was inaccessible. It was basically a bunch of spreadsheets. And if you didn't understand paper Magic, you weren't going to understand MTG Online. On top of that, Magic Online cost significant money to get into. Not as much as paper Magic, but still quite a bit. And Arena, being free to play, matters a lot. It's what gets people into the game, the way that after you watch League, you can just download League of Legends for free and start playing. This past weekend was the first showing for MTG Arena as a new esport, and by all accounts, it was a success. The event itself was pretty fantastic. There were some problems with the format, which I will get to later, don't worry, but overall, it was great. There were fantastic matches and colorful personalities, which is exactly what you want from your first esports event. Just think about Canister and his ridiculous hat, or Asian Avenger talking about the plays.
I also always wanted to say this is a post-game conference thing, you know? We went out, we played hard, they made plays, and we made more plays. I just watch a lot of sports, so I wanted to say that. Sorry.
You made all the plays. You made the best plays.
The stage itself also looked incredible. You had Day9 hosting, and Day9 is actually a pretty big get. I know he plays a lot of Magic and has done a lot of stuff with MTG Arena, but he went from hosting TI to hosting this, so feels like a big deal. But you had him coming up on stage, and every time he brings in a player, sparks come out of the ground, and there's fire everywhere. It looked like a huge esports style production, something Magic has never had. In the past, Magic has always just been dudes at tables playing paper cards, which has been really hard to follow and pay attention to and really get excited about for somebody who doesn't really know Magic. And now with MTG Arena, you have this client where new players can actually look at a game and understand what's happening. And trust me, when I say that it's better for new players, I mean it because I am a new player. I picked up Magic for the first time in January with MTG Arena, and I'm basically obsessed with it now. I watched the Mythic Invitational over the weekend, and I have never watched competitive Magic in my life. Every time I've tried to, it really did just look boring. And I know that's probably complete heresy to people who've been playing Magic for years, but at the same time, you do have to want your game to grow, and this weekend is a perfect sign of how MTG can grow into a huge, successful esport. Now, when it comes to growth, you do have to answer some of the problems that the tournament had, and there was one big one, the format. See, Duo Standard is not great. It's basically glorified best of ones, which, if you don't understand why that could be bad, you have to look no further than what happened to pro player Jerry Thompson, who got absolutely fucked by the format.
It's really going to be his way to try to win this game.
All right. The game has gone to time, and Wyatt Darby walks off with the victory.
Oh, wow. Wow, okay. And that is a result of that first game taking so long.
That first game took so long.
What makes Duo Standard different from regular Magic is that in regular Magic, you bring one deck and a sideboard of 15 cards to swap into your deck between games to adapt to your opponent's deck. In Duo Standard, instead, you get to bring 2 decks, and they can be completely different, the same deck with very slight differences, but you only get these 2 decks, and you can't swap in stuff to deal with your opponent's strategies. The other thing it adds is a hard time limit on the length of matches. Now, paper Magic also has a time limit, but it almost never comes up because it's an hour long, and you get a reasonable warning before you hit it. In this case, there wasn't really much of a warning, and while MTG Arena does have self-imposed time limits, those are for individual turns, not for entire series. So look, yes, the format is a problem. Most pro players would prefer BO3s. However, we can fix that, and more importantly, that format is kind of the thing that MTG Arena is bringing to the table. Most new players are playing BO1s, and remember when I said I was a new player? I played BO1s that first month I played MTG Arena. I didn't have the cards to make a sideboard, I didn't really understand how sideboarding worked. I didn't get into it until, a month or 2 afterwards. And look, if none of that made any sense to you, that is okay. The only thing you have to understand is that the format sucked and it can be fixed. What doesn't need to be changed, though, is the game itself. Magic has been around for 26 years, and it's finally getting its shot at being a huge esport in the way that it never dreamed of before. You have to be paying attention to Magic as an esport going forward. Look, I understand. You probably weren't paying attention before this weekend. I wasn't paying attention before like 4 months ago. But they got my cynical ass. They can probably get yours too. Magic has the potential to be the next big esport.
Thanks for watching. If you want more great content just like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button.